What's happening, everybody? On today's show, Ed Orgeron wants to throw his name in the hat for the open Northwestern job. Could the former LSU head coach be a good fit up in Illinois? Locked on SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. A little, I don't know if you call this an emergency edition, but one that we want to jump on and discuss because this is an intriguing proposition. Welcome in. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On podcast podcast network covering your team every day. All right, as we jump into this story, Ed Orgeron wants to throw his name in the mix to be the next head coach at Northwestern. Now, for those of you who may have missed it or, just kind of saw the headline this week, Pat Fitzgerald, 17 years at Northwestern, was fired earlier this week for all these different reasons, the lack of control. And, if you saw the stories that came out there, it was pretty eye-opening, some of the accusations of things that were going on there from stories reported by former players. But regardless, they fired Pat Fitzgerald after 17 years there at Northwestern. Former defensive coordinator David Braun is now acting as the team's head coach. And some reports share that Braun may eventually be named the interim leader for this coming season. Many expect that Northwestern will use an interim head coach for this coming year since it's already mid-July and somebody's got to coach the team. But one guy who has thrown his name into the mix as a veteran head coach who could certainly do the job, it's Ed Orgeron. According to a couple sources out there, Ed Orgeron, quote, would have interest in the Northwestern opening. However, the source said Northwestern has not contacted Ed Orgeron. Of course, Coach O led LSU to the 2019 college football playoff title, national championship, and, of course, was regarded as one of the best teams ever. He has not coached since he was fired from LSU before the teams in 2021. And, look, Coach O is 61 years old, Louisiana native. Ironically, he went to Northwestern State in Louisiana, played D-line, and then started his coaching career in the mid-'80s. And, of course, had some, big stops at Miami where he coached the Rock, Syracuse, Tennessee, coached with the New Orleans Saints, and was, the head coach of Ole Miss from 05 to 07. Was the interim coach for USC in 2013, and went to LSU as D-line coach, took over when Les Miles was let go, and had a nice run there at LSU. He has not been on a college football sideline since being let go at LSU. And a buyout, he made millions and millions of dollars in his departure from LSU. In fact, for those who remember, he walked off after his last press conference with his arm around his girlfriend and went off to the beach and was spotted in Destin and out there jogging and running and basically living the life. We have seen him pop up a couple times in recent months. I believe a year ago he was up at Notre Dame kind of helping out one of their practices, volunteering. He's popped up at Miami a couple times, just kind of volunteering with them at some of their camps. And look, it's not the craziest idea. I've seen a lot of people poo-pooing it, saying, oh, this is a terrible idea. Ed Orgeron's a damn good coach. His record speaks for itself. And things didn't end the best at LSU. But, look, I was reading some of the fan reaction, some of the quotes on social media. One fan wrote, "This won't happen for many reasons, but I can't help but think how spectacularly poorly that would go if it did." Another one said, "I think this should happen. I'd sit back and enjoy the ensuing chaos." And one more, the Ringer's Roger Sherman said, "Honest question, does he think we're talking about Northwestern State in Louisiana?" Might I remind you, Pat Fitzgerald, as beloved as he was, Northwestern's record, they went 10-3 in 2017. After that, they went 9-5, then 3-9, 7-2, 3-9, 1-11. Ed Orgeron went 51-20 in his time as LSU head coach, 31-17 in the SEC. Ed Orgeron is a better coach statistically. The stats speak for themselves. He's a better coach than Pat Fitzgerald. So for anybody laughing at this and saying, oh, what a terrible move this would be for Northwestern, newsflash, Northwestern, you just went 1-11. Literally anybody would be better than what you just had. And if you believe all this, the reports with the hazing and all the ridiculousness that was going, literally anyone would do a better job than Pat Fitzgerald just did. And look, if you want to get a little silly with it, look, the allegations were very serious of what was happening there under Pat Fitzgerald. But you know who's not going to have any nonsense like that? Is Coach Ed Orgeron. The minute he hears something about players putting on masks and rubbing butts on players or whatever, Coach O ain't putting up with that. Coach O's old school. He'll shut that down. Say, come back in the morning at 5 a.m. You're running. And not the running they were talking about at Northwestern. I mean, just like straight up, punishment. We're not doing hazing and stupid crap like that. And look, am I a fan of Coach O? Sure. Did he maybe lose control in the last year or so at LSU and, maybe wasn't as focused after winning the championship in 2019? Probably. And maybe that's what led to his downfall. But look, frankly, I'll be damned if people are going to trash him and say he would be a terrible move for Northwestern. This is a guy who can recruit at a high level. I'll talk about that in just a second. But look, if Coach O is truly interested in a Northwestern job, I think Northwestern should at least hear him out on it. Because, again, you could do a lot worse. And even this is just like a one-year thing, just to get through this rough year. Again, Ed Orgeron did a fantastic job as an interim in 2013. USC thought long and hard about hiring him after making that move. And then, of course, obviously he did a good job in 2016 as the interim and earned the head coaching job at LSU and brought LSU one of their 4 national championships. Only 4 guys have done that. Coach O won one at LSU and put together one of the most spectacular seasons ever. Joe Burrow, one of the reasons he came to LSU, Ed Orgeron sold him on it. So I'm just saying, anybody wants to poo-poo on Coach O, take a little bit of a step back. And especially if you're a Northwestern fan saying, oh, we could do way better than that. Yeah, enjoy your 1-11 season you just came off of. You may want to have a little bit more perspective on how you're going to bounce back from this. All right, just a second. We will run through a little bit more on Coach O and what he can bring to the table. But first, I want to remind you guys, this episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. And, of course, our friends over at FanDuel, they are giving you an opportunity to take your first swing at betting Major League Baseball on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets. It's up to $200. That's right, just bet $20, and you're going to land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you could spend betting on everything from the money line to the over-under to who you think is going to hit the first home run. It's all on the app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet on Major League Baseball than FanDuel. They are America's #1 sportsbook for a reason. And again, you guys need to take advantage of this awesome opportunity they're giving you. Sign up today. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. It's right there, FanDuel.com/lockedon, and get up to $200 in bonus bets. That is FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, the official partner of Major League Baseball. All right, I want to jump back into this on the Coach O conversation. Again, if you missed it, the story coming out there that Ed Orgeron would like to throw his name into the hat for the open Northwestern job after Pat Fitzgerald's firing. And look, to be honest with you, if they were to hire Coach O, he's going to bring toughness, he's going to bring a gritty attitude, and he's going to bring recruiting. If you're just going by the 24/7 sports rankings each year that Coach O was at LSU, check out these class finishes. 2016, number 2 overall recruiting class. 2017, 7th overall. 2018, dipped a little. It was 15th overall. 2018. Then 2019, 5th overall. 2020, 4th overall. And 2021, 3rd overall. That's 4 top 5 recruiting classes in 6 seasons. And by the way, that 2018 class that finished 15th overall, it included a transfer quarterback from Ohio State by the name of Joseph Burrow. How'd that work out? And on top of it, that 2021 class that he, left with when he got fired, that 2021 class brought in some studs that are still currently on the LSU roster, like big defensive lineman Mason Smith, currently projected as a first-round pick next year. Their safety, Sage Ryan. Wide receivers, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, and Chris Hilton. Probably all going to be your wide receiver 1, 2, 3 at LSU this year. Malik Neighbors is among the best in the SEC. Quarterback Garrett Nussmeier. He's backing up Jaden Daniels right now, but Garrett Nussmeier was one of the most sought-after quarterbacks during this offseason. People were trying to throw NIL deals his way and try to get him to transfer and come be their starting quarterback. He's sticking it out. He's staying at LSU. 2021 class also had Garrett Dellinger, offensive lineman. He also brought in Major Burns as a transfer from Georgia. Coach O attracts talent. He brings in recruits. He gets transfers. Again, if Northwestern is serious about bouncing back in a big way with a no-nonsense guy, they need to seriously at least give some thought to Coach O. And again, when you look at Northwestern's recent years, 3-9, 7-2, 3-9, 1-11. Ed Orgeron, 51-20 as a head coach at LSU. 31-17 in the SEC. Again, people like to crap on him for whatever reason, but the guy won a national championship. That's more than the majority of the head coaches in all of college football can say currently. Would he be motivated? Look, he's got all the money in the world. He doesn't need to coach. If he wants this job, he's going to be motivated. And again, I think he learned a lesson. I think after 2019, he kind of rested on his laurels and said, we won the championship, the pinnacle of my career. I always wanted to win a title. I won one. And maybe he got a little lazy. Maybe he kind of slacked off a little bit, did put in the work in 2020, 2021 that he really needed to. And that's maybe what led to his downfall. But a learned lesson. He talked about his first go-around as a head coach at Ole Miss. He said he wasn't ready for it. Learned a lot from that. Used a lot of his mistakes he made in that job and learned from it and fixed things when he got the LSU job. Maybe he's learned from those mistakes he made those last 2 years at LSU. And again, if you're Northwestern, you want to even be competitive in the Big Ten, Coach O might be the right guy at the right time for this job. So, again, laugh at it. He's just a headline with the Go Tigers and, punchline at your local bar or whatever. You can think that all you want. Coach O's a damn good head football coach. And in all honesty, like if you're talking about sticking with the interim coach or whatever, or, some of the other names that have been out there, Ed Orgeron's better than just about any of those names you're gonna see out there. So, Northwestern, if you want to improve your program and get back on track immediately, you would do a good job of vetting Ed Orgeron and seeing if he wants to come coach. Why not? Again, at worst, this guy's going to come in and help recruit and maybe get some of those recruits away from that might be looking at Ohio State or Michigan or any of the other schools around the Big Ten. Maybe change their tune coming to Northwestern. Now, I know the grade issue is a thing there. It's a little bit different from the standard he had at some of the SEC schools he was at. But again, I put a check in the column for me for Ed Orgeron, throwing his name in the hat for the Northwestern job. All right, that's our emergency edition of Locked On SEC. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Come back and check us out tomorrow. We'll be previewing, of all things, LSU. We'll be sitting down with Caroline Fenton of Locked On LSU to preview the 2023 upcoming season. And also we'll be have our conversation, our interview with Jaden Daniels from a week or so ago at the Manning Passing Academy, talking about the upcoming season with Brian Kelly at the helm at LSU. Will he win a national championship? We'll talk about that on tomorrow's Locked On SEC. Also, Friday show, we'll talk some recruiting with our recruiting insider, Brian Smith. So don't go anywhere. Make sure you check all that out right here on Locked On SEC. I'm Chris Gordy. It's been an emergency edition of Locked On SEC. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.